Talk to me.
Hi everyone and welcome. Today we're getting physical retail. First of all, thanks very much for all the feedback. As a reminder, you can find the entire series on the Muda Digital YouTube channel, and you can follow me on Twitter, LP Social, in order to get more insights about the industry. So let's get physical retail. Actually, today is the prequel of the physical retail episode. I wanted to do an episode per touch point, but physical retail deserves two, and here's why. It's been incredibly disrupted in the last 15 years, and there are a number of things to know around its business model in order for brands to interact at the most profitable way with physical retail. So let's get going. If you remember our chart here on the horizontal axis around awareness, consideration, and purchase, and on the vertical axis where we have the share of physical and digital, what we saw in the previous episodes is that the vast majority of customer interactions for any brand in any journey is digital. But currently, the majority of transactions still happen in physical retail. Anywhere between 70 and 80% of transactions is a good ballpark. It depends on the industry, it depends on the company, but it's a good rule of thumb. And it's a place where a lot of enterprise brand resources are mobilized because it's where the revenue happens, it's where the cash is exchanged, and that's where hence a lot of resources are mobilized. Today, we are going to answer a couple of questions. What does retail.com mean to retail, and why do we have incumbent, very strong physical retailers that have not become that strong pure player or that strong .com? What's going on with them, and what's the rational reason why we have to consider that bricks and mortar retail is primarily bricks and mortar, and how to treat the .com arm of these retailers. In order for us to understand this, we have to look at cost structure. And let's look at the cost structure of physical retail first. In order to run a good physical retailer, what you need is primary real estate. You need prime retail location in downtown or prime retail location in outskirts of cities to drive customer and to be a destination store to be attractive to your customers. You need some inventory. You need inventory that is not too wide and not too deep, because you are going to have many stocking points, many stores. So you need to have the right things at the right time, so you have a high rotation of your inventory, and you need to know how to do this. And you need a lot of people. You need a lot of people to plan and execute this inventory. You need a lot of people in store, sales assistants for customer. You need people at the cash point. You need people in the warehouses to move things around. You need a lot of people that interact with customer and move things around. And all of this is a huge cost to run the business. Now, if you're running a .com or pure play or retail.com, what you need is primarily a set of technological capabilities. You need a front end, you need a back end, you need payment systems, you need security, all of these things. You need assortment, but your assortment needs to be wider and deeper than your physical store. The expectation from customers in .com is that there will be many more things available, so the breadth, the number of items available will be a lot wider, and then the depth, the level of availability will be a lot higher in physical stores. You also need people, but you need here people that know how to run your front end, run your back end, about user experience, user interface, about payments, about server, about security, about planification of all these things. And you need some very, very specific logistic capabilities around things like last mile shipment. How do you ship to every single individual's home? It has a lot of cost, and it takes a lot of planning and know-how that is very, very specific to this type of retailing. And basically, if you're a shareholder or if you're a leader of a big physical retailer right now, you're looking at this and you have two cost structure that don't have a ton of things in common, but you need to run two very heavy cost structure to please the same customer. So it's really, really hard, and that's probably the reason why over time it was really hard for retailers to invest in both sides of the business and be successful in both sides of the business. Now we have to talk also about us customers. What does it mean, and how do we behave when we buy in physical stores, and how do we behave when we buy in online stores? To buy in physical stores, we need to mobilize ourselves. We need to go physically from one place to the other. We need to go, let's say, from home to the store. We take the car. it means we are spending some gas and we are spending a very, very precious resource, which is time. So we are physically mobilized and we use some of our time to get there. When we buy online, it's not as committing. We take our phone, we take our PC, we browse the catalogs, and then we buy. And this purchase is very, very fast. You have one click to buy on some sites. It doesn't mobilize a lot of our time. We get a lot of free time. We might even be doing something else while we're shopping. It's really not a big investment for us. So which means we are also going to take only what we need, and we are going to renew that purchase as many times as we think we need. And from a retail standpoint, on physical retail versus .com, it has huge consequences. It has revenue consequences. The revenue per visit of a physical retail visit versus an online store visit is anywhere between 25 and 50% higher. It's a rule of thumb. Again, it may vary by industry and by retailer or by brand, but 25 to 50% more revenue per store visit in physical world than virtual world. And more importantly, the margin per visit in the physical world is up to twice as much as the margin per visit in the e-commerce world. And that's because you might buy more of the items you were coming to buy because you are amortizing this mobilization of yourself, or you might pay slightly more for some of the items because they are there and it's more convenient for you to do this than to order them online. And that is incredibly important to understand when you deal with physical retail. It's how the business model is built. Remember, these two cost structure, they can only get amortized if basically the business has a lot more physical store visits than it has online store visits. And that's how the entire business model is financed. It's really important to understand. And that's also why you've never seen a traditional bricks and mortar partner being incredibly successful online. It's because it doesn't feed the business model overall. If tomorrow they were to go more than 50% sell online, most of these businesses would not survive. They would actually die. And there are a number of things that they are doing, investing for customers to have great journey that are not great for the business model. Buy online, pick up in store, or marketplace are two things that retailers are doing so that customer have this optionality, has this end-to-end customer experience or customer journey with them, but it's not great for the business model. The core of the strategy is in-store visit level of revenue and margin, and the defensive strategy is everything else they do online. Now, that said, if I look at today, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, physical retail is here to stay. It's an incredibly important part of retail, and it will remain so. The thing that is going to happen is it's going to take a lower share of total transaction, and it will have a different role. It will have a different role in how you market, how you sell, and how you support your product offering as a brand. And we will see in the next episode how this value proposition from physical retail will evolve and what they will become in the future. And we will have a look at how this will be changing a lot in going in sometimes surprising directions to land in a different place in a few years from now. So thank you very much for following this episode, and I'll see you soon to talk about the future of physical retail and the future of every other touch point out there. Take care. Bye-bye.